The decision to fire Jimmy Kimmel and cancel his show came from the executives at ABC. That's what has been reported, and I can assure you it did not come from the White House. There was no pressure from the President of the United States. And what exactly is the president focused on? I'll tell you what he's focused on. Shower heads, you wash your hands, and in my case, I like to take a nice shower to take care of my beautiful hair. You have to stand under the shower for 15 minutes before it gets wet. It comes out drip, drip, drip. It's ridiculous. The White House has a press secretary. She's 28 years old. Her boss just went on national television and talked about her lips. And somehow, that wasn't even the biggest scandal of the week. The biggest scandal was a comedian who said something so painfully true that it apparently short-circuited a former president's brain entirely. Let's get into it. But before we dive into the circus inside the White House, let's talk about the economy. Because if you're confused about what's happening with tariffs right now, don't worry, you're not the only one. Nobody seems to understand. Not the markets, not the economists, and clearly not the administration either. Trump's all over the place. Look at what happened over the past 48 hours. The tariffs he slapped on China jumped from 20% to 104%, and now he's saying at least 145%. He's shouting numbers like he's spinning a bingo hopper. A bingo hopper. That might be the most accurate description of American economic policy anyone has offered in months. And when a reporter tried to press Karoline Leavitt on this, the woman whose entire job every single day is to explain the administration's plan, something remarkable happened. I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have, the reporter pushed back. They don't get charged to foreign companies. They get charged to the importers. Leavitt didn't flinch. She straightened her posture, lifted her chin slightly, and kept going. And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I now regret giving a question to the Associated Press. Let that breathe for a second. She said the words, "test my knowledge of economics," at a White House press briefing, the very place where the press secretary's entire purpose is to answer questions from journalists. That clip tore across the internet for a reason, because deflection dressed up as confidence is a very specific skill, and Karoline Leavitt has mastered it like nobody else in that building. Now, the garbage bags. And yes, that is an actual sentence that has to be spoken out loud in the year 2025. Little by little, strange things kept surfacing. Just yesterday, a video appeared showing what looked like large garbage bags being thrown out of a window. The window of the Lincoln bedroom. That's the White House. The official response from the administration said it was routine maintenance work being done while Trump was away on one of his many golf weekends. But then Trump himself went and contradicted his own White House. There is a video circulating online now of the White House, where a window is open to the residence upstairs and somebody is throwing a big bag out the window. Have you seen this? Trump barely blinked. His answer came instantly, without a pause, without a thought. No, that's probably AI generated. Probably AI generated. Garbage bags flying out of the Lincoln bedroom, and the man's first instinct isn't, "let me check," or "I'll look into it." It's deep fake. Done. Case closed. Move on. That's the kind of cognitive firewall the country is working with right now. Don't investigate, don't verify, just wave the magic words and make the whole thing disappear. Meanwhile, in the same week, Trump decided this was the perfect moment to lecture the United States military on physical fitness. The generals who wake up at 5 in the morning for PT runs, the soldiers who train in heat and dust and exhaustion. And the man delivering this lecture? A man who once reportedly avoided military service by citing bone spurs. He wanted to talk about fitness. Kimmel had thoughts, and he didn't hold a single one of them back. Donald Trump actually said our new military will bring back a new focus on fitness. The laughter in the studio was immediate, loud, uncontrollable. I love the idea that Trump is lecturing these guys on fitness. If that isn't the fondue pot calling the kettle fat, I don't know what is. Listen up, generals. I want to make something very clear. The Pillsbury Dough president wants you to do Pilates. The only push-ups Donald Trump does are from the side of an ice cream truck. And if you get so fat you start breaking escalators, you are unfit to serve in the military. The audience was in tears. But underneath the comedy, the absurdity of the situation hung in the air like smoke. A president who avoids exercise telling trained soldiers to get in shape. That's not just ironic, that's a sketch that writes itself. So what is the president focused on when he's not redesigning military fitness standards? Glad you asked. Shower heads. You wash your hands. And in my case, I like to take a nice shower to take care of my beautiful hair. You have to stand under the shower for 15 minutes before it gets wet. It comes out drip, drip, drip. It's ridiculous. Kimmel tilted his head, grinned, and said what every single person watching was thinking. Yeah, it comes out drip, drip, drip. I believe that's how Stormy described it too, right? The studio exploded, hands slapping desks, people doubling over, the kind of laugh that hurts your ribs. And then, just like that, the mood shifted. Here's where things get genuinely uncomfortable to watch, because there's a difference between a 28-year-old press secretary fielding impossible questions every single day under blinding lights and relentless cameras, and that same press secretary's own boss going on stage in front of thousands of people and saying this about her. Isn't she great? Is Karoline great? The crowd cheered, they clapped, they roared. You know, when she goes on television, Fox, they dominate. They dominate when she gets up there with that beautiful face and that's already a choice, a deliberate one. But then he kept going. His voice didn't lower, his eyes didn't shift. He leaned into it. Those lips that don't stop, like a little machine gun. That is the exact wording the President of the United States chose on a public stage to describe his 28-year-old employee. Not her intelligence, not her strategy, not her skill under pressure. Her face, her lips, a machine gun mouth, and the crowd cheered. And here's where the layers start to pile up, one on top of the other, until the picture becomes impossible to ignore. Because Karoline hasn't exactly maintained professional distance either. She posted a montage online calling Trump Daddy, set to Usher's song of the same name. She traveled with him to Scotland. There were golf cart photos, side-by-side shots on the green. And during that entire trip, there was almost no sign of her husband, a man 32 years older than her, anywhere on her social media. Her wardrobe shifted too since she took this job. Older cuts, muted colors, conservative silhouettes, the kind of outfits that belong to a different decade, or maybe to a very specific audience of one. Draw your own conclusions. The details speak for themselves. Jimmy Kimmel lit into the whole operation. And the White House response? Send Karoline Leavitt to the podium to say Kimmel was fired for lying. But the decision to fire Jimmy Kimmel and to cancel his show came from executives at ABC. That has now been reported. And I can assure you, it did not come from the White House, and there was no pressure given from the President of the United States. And how do I know that? Because I was with the President of the United States when this news broke. In the United Kingdom, we were enjoying the beautiful and spectacular state visit put forth by the royal family and the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. And I actually brought this news to President Trump's attention. He had no idea this was happening. It was a decision made by ABC because Jimmy Kimmel chose to knowingly lie to his audience on his program about the death of a highly respected man while our country is in a state of mourning. Let's pause on that for a long second. The White House press secretary is standing at the official podium of the United States government, the same podium used to announce wars, treaties, and national emergencies. And she's using it to defend the president's reputation against a late-night comedian. Not a foreign adversary, not a policy crisis, not a national security threat. A man who tells jokes at 11:30 at night from a desk in Hollywood. That's the priority. That's where the firepower went. And Trump himself couldn't stay quiet. He went on a morning news program, reportedly seething, and said, paraphrasing here, that Kimmel is a loser. Karoline is a star. She's beautiful. She has a machine gun mouth. And it's a disgrace. A sitting president on morning television, defending his press secretary's mouth. Not her record, not her policy achievements. Her mouth. Here's the thing about all of this. The tariff bingo. The garbage bags flying from the Lincoln bedroom. The fondue pot fitness lecture, the lip comments on a public stage, the Kimmel feud that consumed an entire news cycle. None of it is accidental noise. Every single piece of it is a very specific kind of chaos. The kind that keeps your eyes locked to the left while something else happens quietly on the right. The kind that makes you debate the weird, outrageous, jaw-dropping stuff so loudly that you forget to ask about the serious stuff happening behind closed doors. The question isn't whether any of this is embarrassing. It clearly is. It's embarrassing on a level that would have ended careers a decade ago. The real question, the one that matters, is what are you not looking at while you're watching the machine gun mouth defend the showerhead speech? Think about that. Really think about it. Because while the whole country is distracted by the spectacle, decisions are being made, policies are being signed, power is shifting. And nobody's paying attention because they're too busy laughing at the circus. That's all for today. If you made it this far, drop a comment below and tell me, what was the moment that got you? What was the line that made you stop and rewind? Subscribe if you're new. Turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. And I'll see you in the next one. Because this story, it's far from over. And the next chapter might be the one that finally pulls back the curtain on everything.